So today we have the pick of the week for Destiny, where we jump in and take an in-depth look at one of the best vendor roles available in the tower for the week. And for this week, which is week 7, I thought we should take a quick look at the Wounded Scout Rifle, a real powerhouse of a weapon which comes with a pretty great role, which you can check out at the Future War Cult vendor. So let's take a look at the perks. In the sights we have Red Dot ORA2, we've got Ranged Lens RLS3 and the Reflex Scope. I personally like the Reflex Scope the most. It's very clean and unobstructive, and it's generally snappier and stickier than the other options. Up next we have the option of Explosive Rounds or Snapshot. Explosive Rounds is a fantastic PvE bonus. It increases damage and offers a degree of crowd control. Snapshot is an okay perk, not one I generally go for on scout rifles, but if you don't want to use Explosive Rounds, it will definitely improve the ADS time, which is nice, and depending on your preference for PvP, you may want to opt for Snapshot there as well. In the middle column though, we have Hammer Forged for more range and accuracy, or Triple Tap where rapidly landing precision hits will return 1 round to the magazine. Hammer Forged is a great bonus in general, but it isn't really necessary on this scout rifle. It will help you. Triple Tap, however, is a nice bonus, increasing the amount of rounds that you can fire if you're hitting those crits, whether it's on ads or a boss that you can empty the mag into. It means more shots that you can fire and more DPS overall, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Finally though, we have Crowd Control. Kills with a weapon grant a damage increase for a short time. This again is a fantastic perk for PvE, and it's pretty good for PvP as well. The bonus damage is great if you're tearing down ads or fighting multiple targets in pretty much any kind of encounter, and it's absolutely one of the things that makes this scout rifle. This role in general leans mostly towards PvE for me personally, but it's also functional for PvP, and we'll talk about that as well. Starting out with PvE though, this is a really solid scout rifle. Stats wise, it's in a great spot. Of course, it's a 37-48 variety of scout rifle, so just like Hung Jury, the Burning Eye, or Cryptic Dragon, we have very good base range on the Wounded at 74 points. Base stability is a decent 49 points, which feels fine to use for me personally. The reload and aim assist stats are also pretty respectable, and along with the magazine size of 15 rounds, this scout starts off in a pretty good spot. With these particular perks though, the weapon is really well suited for killing ads, particularly in raids or strikes, and in any engagement where you can take advantage of range. Explosive Rounds is a great bonus all around. It increases damage output in nearly every case. It does offer some crowd control benefits for tightly grouped enemies, and it also helps with range because the bonus damage from Explosive Rounds has no range drop-off. It's worth me pointing out right now that the Burning Eye is very popular for PvE because it also has explosive rounds. On top of this though, it has ballistics options which increase impact, which along with explosive rounds mean that you can one-shot Shanks in the Axis encounter, for example. Other scout rifles in the archetype can't generally do this because they have ever so slightly lower impact, but with crowd control on the Wounded, you will be able to do this after you've made the first kill. I know that's a very specific example, but it may be valuable for any of you guys that want that capability but do not own the Burning Eye. Since it's such a popular weapon, it makes sense to point out the alternatives. Crowd control in general is incredibly good for PvE, especially combined with explosive rounds because you've got bonus damage on top of bonus damage, and the combination simply decimates in PvE content, and since in most content there are a lot of enemies to kill, you'll be reaping the rewards of these bonuses over and over again. We did skip over the middle column for a moment just because there's a lot to be said for the synergy of those previous perks. Now though, let's talk about Triple Tap. This allows 1 round to return to the magazine when you hit 3 precision shots in a row. There are multiple ways to take advantage of this, but a lot of folks will already be saying Explosive Rounds interferes with critical hits, so naturally it will affect how often Triple Tap will proc, and you're absolutely right. Because of the spread of damage with Explosive Rounds, many shots that do hit crits will end up registering as non-critical hits. However, that doesn't mean to say that Triple Tap won't ever proc. In fact, it can still proc fairly regularly, you just can't be dependent on it. For me, I think of Triple Tap as a simple magazine bonus on the weapon, because as you fire at ads, even with explosive rounds, it will proc, and it can fairly easily turn a magazine of 15 rounds into 18 rounds, you know? Even though it becomes less reliable, it does something. And for PvE purposes, the only perk you could get in the middle column which I think is better or more relevant would be Outlaw. But again, you're going to experience those same problems with critical damage, so if you want a triple tap scout that you can do higher damage to bosses with, then I would honestly look for a different scout rifle. Chaos Dogma or something like that is way better for that kind of thing. With explosive rounds, you just have to accept the penalty or seek an alternative. I've spoken about this a lot, you know, with the Fatebringer and other weapons recently, and there are a lot of mixed opinions. The fact of the matter is that explosive rounds does do more damage. If you find explosive rounds annoying though, just don't use them. Honestly, that's all I can really say. They are by no means necessary to do work in PvE. It comes down to personal preference. If you'd rather take advantage of, you know, critical damage perks or reload bonuses that come through, you know, getting critical hits or kills or whatever, you know, you have to just make the decision which you prefer. To briefly mention PvP with this weapon, it's nothing super special. That's not to say it's bad. I mean, scout rifles in general probably require kind of the least specific perks in order to perform well. I'm not a big fan of explosive rounds in the Crucible, so I would opt for Snapshot. There are no stability bonuses on this particular role, so if you wanted higher stability, then again, you'll need to look for a different scout rifle. In PvP, triple tap isn't the most beneficial perk, but it absolutely works. Something like Perfect Balance or Outlaw would probably be better in the middle column. Crowd control though is a pretty nice PvP bonus. If you're gunfighting multiple targets, the bonus damage will absolutely be beneficial. Otherwise though, this role isn't really the best for PvP. Like I said, scouts don't generally need super specific perks to work in PvP, so while it's not a standout PvP weapon, it's not strictly a bad one either. I personally rate this particular role for its PvE potential. I personally have some very, very good scout rifles with similar roles that I use every week in the raids, and the Wounded this week was a pleasure to use, so I absolutely recommend that you guys try it out if you don't have something similar or better. You know, this is a really nice scout rifle. So those are my thoughts on the Wounded role for this week, week 7 of Age of Triumph. If you have enjoyed the video, guys, a like is appreciated below. Let me know if you've tried this thing out or any awesome roles that you have on this weapon. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe if you want to see more Destiny content, but for now, you guys have an awesome day.